The U.S. sent troops to Taiwan after 70 Chinese planes and 11 ships were detected around Taiwan Strait. Sending American troops to Taiwan could be a possibility, House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairperson McCall said. If Communist China invaded Taiwan, it would certainly be on the table and something that would be discussed by Congress and with the American people, McCall told Fox News. If the American people support this, then Congress will follow. The major considerations would include whether the U.S. is prepared to do so, and if defending Taiwan is worth it, he said. I can argue for a lot of reasons why it is, he said. McCall recently wrapped up a 3-day trip to Taiwan from April 6 to 8, during which he visited the Legislative Yuan and met with President Tsai Ing-wen. He pledged to Tsai that arms sales would continue and said Congress is doing all it can to expedite weapons deliveries and increase military training assistance. In a separate interview with NBC, McCall said Taiwan's defense capability is not where they need to be. If we're going to have deterrence for peace, we need to get these weapons into Taiwan, he said, referring to the $19 billion in weapons purchased by Taiwan still held up in the U.S. These arms will provide the deterrence that will make Chinese leader Xi Jinping think twice about an invasion, he said. With regard to Taiwan's combat training, the representative said, we need to ramp that up on a larger scale so that they can provide that projection of strength and deterrence. Both the House Select Committee on China Chair Mike Gallagher and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy have echoed McCall's view on speeding up arms deliveries to Taiwan. The U.S. State Department has said it is actively reviewing its weapons sales process to speed up arms shipments to Taiwan, according to U.S. State Department spokesperson Vedant Patel. Following the Tsai-McCarthy meeting on April 6, China announced on Saturday it would conduct a 3-day drill around Taiwan. The Chinese Ministry of National Defense said in a statement that the People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command will organize a combat readiness patrol and a united sword drill in the Taiwan Strait and the airspace to the north, south, and east of Taiwan. Meanwhile, China, which claims democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory, is carrying out the second of 3 days of exercises around the island. On Saturday, dozens of Chinese military aircraft crossed the median line that serves as an unofficial barrier between the two sides. Taiwan's defense ministry said it had spotted 70 Chinese aircraft, including Su-30 fighters and H-6 bombers, as well as 11 ships around the island on Sunday. China's aircraft carrier Shandong, which Taiwan has been monitoring since last week, is now more than 400 nautical miles off Taiwan's southeast coast and is carrying out drills, the source said. The 20 or so ships involved in the standoff did not behave provocatively, they added. The Defense Ministry said its forces will not escalate conflicts nor cause disputes, and would respond appropriately to China's drills. Chinese state television reported that the combat readiness patrols and drills around Taiwan were continuing. It said, under the unified command of the Theater Joint Operations Command Center, multiple types of units carried out simulated joint precision strikes on key targets on Taiwan Island and the surrounding sea areas, and continue to maintain an offensive posture around the island. This was the first time China had openly talked of simulated attacks on targets in Taiwan. Zhao Qiaozhu of China's Academy of Military Sciences told the Chinese state-backed Global Times newspaper. Key targets would include infrastructure, such as runways, military logistics facilities, and mobile targets to annihilate them in one fell swoop if necessary, the report cited Mr. Zhao as saying. China began the exercises the day after Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen returned from a controversial visit to the U.S., where she met Republican and Democrat congressional leaders. Beijing sees any interaction between U.S. and Taiwanese officials as a challenge to its claim to the island. During her trip, Ms. Tsai had talks with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, making him the most senior U.S. figure to meet a Taiwanese leader on American soil since 1979. The president's visit was condemned by Beijing. with a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson attacking the egregiously wrong action taken by the US and Taiwan, and vowing to take strong and resolute measures to defend our sovereignty and territorial integrity. Beijing considers Ms. Tsai a separatist and has rejected her repeated calls for talks. She says only Taiwan's people can decide their future. Under its One China policy, the US recognizes and has formal ties with China, while it also maintains unofficial relations with Taiwan.